Hey, what's up guys? My name is Sal, and this is another expedition log. Today we're visiting a mall that I spent a fairly decent amount of time at while I was at college. As a matter of fact, you might see some footage of me there in 2010 if you stay after the credits, so be sure to stick around. As always, I hope you're all doing well out there, keeping safe and healthy. Also, a small percentage of my views come from people that are actually subscribed to me, so if you like my videos, I humbly ask that you consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you know when I release content. You can also find me on my various social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Salvatore Amadeo, where I provide updates on my travels, and also if YouTube's algorithm seems to be extra wonky on a particular week, you can find the release dates for my content on there too. Also, if you want to join the Dead Malls of Discord server to have live chats with me and other creators, just download Discord for free and click the link in my description. The mall we're visiting in this episode still retains its super rad 1980s aesthetic, but if you look closely, its foundation from the 60s can be seen. So today I'd like you to come take a walk with me and my best pal Fritz through the Beltway Plaza Mall in Greenbelt, Maryland. But first, a word from our sponsor. One of those crazy fever dream aerobic tapes that I'd always see my mom working out in front of the TV to when I was a kid. I always thought those things were nuts. Enjoy.
One more. And hold it there. Yeah. Hold it. Yeah. Yeah. Monkey see and monkey do. This is it. Yeah. And hold it right there. Terrific. And that was wonderful. And center. And again. Now hold it right there together. Whoa.
That's what this video's about. Beauty and strength. This is connected to everything in life. Connected to victory and happiness. Victory and happiness is the most important thing for everyone. Okay, let's go. Pump the arms like you're in the mud. Shoulders down, chest open. Resistance on the up. Good job, guys. Come look at this. She's squeezing it down. She's bringing it up, and she's bringing it down. Nice control, nice control. And down.
Handband. Da-da-da-da-da. Whoa, yeah. Up.
In the early 1930s, amidst the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal was well underway in an attempt to bring relief to folks struggling around the United States. On May 1st, 1935, the Resettlement Administration was created with the goal of relocating struggling farmers off of agriculturally exhausted and worn-out land to government-built housing and communities. This agency intended on bringing hundreds of planned communities, but the idea was deemed socialistic in that it came with the threat of depriving farm owners of their tenant workforce. And therefore, the Resettlement Administration became incredibly unpopular in Congress, who voted for a much smaller budget for the agency, which included the development of 3 Greenbelt cities. Through this agency, we got Green Hills, Ohio, Greendale, Wisconsin, and the city we're at in this episode, Greenbelt, Maryland, which was established in 1937. As the area around Washington, D.C. was being developed over the next few decades, the first section of the 64-mile Capitol Beltway was opened on December 21st, 1961, and people were just incredibly stoked about this new road. Some highway fans were even a bit more excited than others, like developer Sidney J. Brown, who decided to build a mall in honor of the highway. Although that's just my own opinion, based in absolutely zero factual evidence. Mr. Brown was met with very little opposition for the shopping complex that he proposed, and after about a year of work, the grand opening ceremony for the first phase of the Beltway Plaza went down at 11 a.m. on February 3rd, 1962. Serving as architect for the plaza and later the mall, was New York-based Lathrop Douglas, who was responsible for the design of other fantastic malls, such as the Parly 2 in Versailles, France, in 1968, Tyson's Corner in Virginia, also in 1968, and the Cross Country Center in Westchester, New York, which was the first shopping center in the eastern United States in 1954. Bozo the Clown was in attendance at the Beltway Plaza grand opening, handing out souvenir balloons to kids. A massive white ribbon was hung from one end of the plaza to the other, and it was one of the longest ceremonial ribbons that had ever been used up until that point. In its initial phase, Beltway Plaza was a simple strip mall with 8 shops. There was an A&P Food supermarket serving as the main traffic generator, along with a barbershop. There was a Beltway Liquors, Drug Fair, High's Dairy Store, Tanner's Dry Cleaning, Vincent & Vincent Hairstylists, and a coin-operated Violet Ray Wash and Dry Clean. From day one, Mr. Brown's plan was to put a roof over the shopping center to create a climate-controlled enclosed mall with a national chain serving as senior anchor. And the February 3rd, 1962 iteration of this place was just the beginning of his master plan.
Very pretty dog.
Yeah, this is a dog. Husky. No, it's Korean dog.
Whose dog is that?
Siberian Husky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dog?
No. And he's waiting.
Oh, he's waiting for his owner. Oh, I see. Good boy.
Oh, yeah.
Good boy. Good boy.
Beltway Plaza would begin moving into its next phase when the S. Klein Company opened a 3-story, 320,000 square foot department store on Thursday, October 17, 1963. The Klein's on the Square at Beltway Plaza was billed as, quote, the largest department store south of New York, costing in excess of $7 million. About 10 months after the Klein's opened, the rest of the Capitol Beltway highway system was completed on August 17, 1964. Over the next few years, Greenbelt would continue to develop, losing more of the forested areas to new developments, but bringing in more people from the DC area, building up the city and strengthening its footprint right on the Capitol Beltway. This New Deal era city was growing ever more vibrant, and Sidney Brown wanted to push his Beltway Plaza into the next phase. The only thing holding up his redevelopment efforts was the hill along the Klein's, and how it was probably, most likely polluting nearby Indian Creek. Locals put Brown on blast during public meetings and demanded he fix the hill. Lawsuits were flying all over the place, and Mr. Brown thought it was such a trivial thing to mend a dirt hill, despite vicious public dissent. So Mr. Brown would relent and went to work grading and stabilizing the hill, and in doing so, he acquired the necessary permits to begin construction on the second phase of his plaza. How utterly stunning is the lobby for this AMC movie theater? I don't think there's one light bulb out. It puts Iverson to shame, and it most certainly puts the Richland Mall to shame. This is the only mall I've ever been to where all of the light bulbs in that array are all lit. Incredible. The now fully enclosed and climate-controlled Beltway Plaza Mall was supposed to have its grand opening on November 22nd, 1971, but that damn hill came back to ruin things again. It seemed Mr. Brown didn't read the fine print on his court order, which stipulated that the developer had to plant sod and conform to other anti-erosion work, which wasn't yet done. So they got their hands dirty, picked up some sod, and got the work done in a few days. And finally, after over 10 years of planning, the now enclosed Beltway Plaza Mall had its official red ribbon cut on Monday, November 29th, 1971, with staff handing out orchids, drawings, and other souvenirs, and balloons floating all over the mall amidst people cheering.
You need that.
This I would actually
Oh, you need the
consider,
prince
but
that
his
that one. Let's see how much it is. Let's see how much it is.
Mr. Brown was quoted saying, quote, "We have waited for this day for 10 years. From the beginning, I promised a large department store and a climate-controlled mall. In spite of the obstacles, and there have been a few, as you well know, we have succeeded. Sometimes things take a little longer, but I always keep my promises. Close
What's the
quote.
material? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just a few years after the newly enclosed mall opened to the public, on February 6, 1975, it was announced that the Klein's department store at the Beltway Plaza Mall would conduct a going out of business sale over the coming weeks, and would be shuttered completely after liquidation. Klein's had been in business since 1905, and its parent company, Rapid American Corporation, who also owned the McCrory dime store chain, they decided to put more of their focus on real estate and would close all remaining Klein department stores.
I'm just looking for a menu. Is just that? Okay.
While Beltway Plaza Mall lost their senior anchor, they would gain a new attraction when AMC opened the Academy 6th Theater, which was a 6-screen cinema. They opened on March 26, 1975 at the west end of the mall.
You buy something? That was gnarly.
This movie theater was the only ground-level 6-screen complex in the Baltimore, Washington area at the time, and it would draw massive crowds, driving much more traffic into the Beltway Plaza Mall. It's also worth noting that Mr. Brown had developed the Gold Coast Mall down in Ocean City, so make sure to go check out ExLog 28 to see that place. It's pretty rad. Klein's would sit vacant until October 4th, 1979, when an 85,000 square foot Bass Code department catalog store opened on the ground level of the over 300,000 square foot building. It was during this renovation period that the former Klein's would be split up to accommodate multiple stores. At the time, Sidney Brown announced that a Kmart would soon occupy additional ground level space in the former Klein's, along with a Best Co., while the Motor Vehicle Administration was in talks to take up space on the second floor. As you can see, we're beginning to get convoluted in this anchor space, so be sure to pay attention because it's going to get a bit more complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Brown also announced a new all-concrete skate park for skateboarders, or whoever wanted to shred there. It was to be built on the west side of Cherrywood Lane, just west of the mall. Now, I used to live in Greenbelt, and I would frequent the Sunnyside skate park with Dr. Angel M. Scroggins, but I've never seen a skate park near the Beltway Plaza Mall. Maybe it was there at one point, I don't know. But if any of you were local around here back in the 70s or the 80s, let me know if this skate park actually existed.
Oh, thank you so much.
So they gave us a bunch of quarters. So I dosed them with sanitizer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
In the mid-1980s, AMC added a second movie theater in the center court. This new cinema had 8 screens, and AMC branded the two jointly, calling it the AMC Academy 14. On April 9th, 1993, Giant Food had its grand opening, and 40,000 square feet of inline mall concourse was under construction to connect the Giant with the existing mall concourse at the west end of the mall, which we are walking through right now. At the opposite end of the mall, where the S. Klein's used to be, that space was now occupied by a Best Co., Burlington Coat Factory, F&M Drugs, and Marshalls in the basement, with Sports Authority by itself near the rear parking garage down a creepy long hallway on the top floor. It was in April of 1993 that Quantum Management, the leasing firm for Sidney Brown & Associates, they announced that Caldor was coming to the mall, along with a $25 million renovation back at the East End. This renovation would introduce a new breezeway to the top floor, providing access to parking on both sides of the mall, along with the loft-style second floor, which was only accessible by elevators before the renovation. The new addition would bring escalators, a set of stairs, and a new parking deck in front of the mall to allow easier access inside, and would provide 400 additional parking spots. The renovations were completed by September to much fanfare, except for the new parking garage. Most people thought of it, and still do think of it, as an eyesore, and that it severely diminishes the physical appearance of the mall. But I happen to think it's charming, and I actually like its obnoxious qualities. It's kind of cool. By 1995, Caldor was struggling. Unable to compete with chains like Walmart, and despite having around $1.2 billion in assets, they also had nearly $900 million in liabilities. The chain made the decision to close some underperforming stores, of which the Beltway Plaza Mall location was included. 1 year after the Caldor closed, AMC remodeled the Academy 6, adding more seating to each house. Then, in 1998, after sitting vacant for a few years, Quantum Management announced that Value City would be opening on November 5th, 1998 in the upper east end of the mall where the Caldor was located, while Burlington Coat Factory spent over $2 million remodeling their store. The mall would continue to drag along with its eclectic mixture of inline tenants and its horribly confusing 3-story dog pile mashup of anchors on the west side. So, in an effort to give shoppers at least one clear anchor space, after about a year of construction and renovation, a Target was brought to the Beltway Plaza Mall in 2000 and is located at the tip of the west end, inaccessible from within the mall. By the time the Target came through, the Rat King 3-floor anchor menagerie had shifted forms yet again and was now comprised of a Value City, Burlington Coat Factory, Joann Fabrics, and a Marshalls. It's the strangest loadout of anchors I've ever seen, but it seems to work. In December of 2000, Sidney J. Brown died at his home in Potomac, Maryland. Quantum Companies would continue on as the owner/managers of the mall. And by 2005, AMC had shuttered the Academy 6 Theater, which was replaced with a Gold's Gym. And around this same time, the Sports Authority had shuttered. 1 year later, AMC also shuttered the Academy 8 in early 2006. The theater reopened quickly under new ownership, which was Fox Theaters of Reading, Pennsylvania. By 2008, the Value City chain was broke and liquidating their assets before closing all of their stores. The Value City was replaced in 2010 by a Shoppers World and a Big Lots, which were adjacent to one another. We're looking at that space right now. It was also in 2010 that I showed up to the area to get my master's degree, and I would shop weekly at the mall getting my groceries at the Giant. To be honest, for a long time I had no idea that a mall was even here, since I just went through the Giant entrance. And if you stick around after the credits, you might just see footage of me and my dad, Captain Sal, when we were at this very location, all the way back in 2010. On October 8th, 2012, a Planet Fitness opened just next door to the Gold's Gym, which was on the west end of the mall near Giant, where we just came from. There were 2 gyms right next to each other, in case you wanted to work out extra hard. But then some shady business went down the following month. Right before Thanksgiving, in November of 2012, the Gold's Gym just up and left in the middle of the night. They bolted. They didn't tell anybody. Mall management simply noticed that all of the equipment was gone the next morning, and no reasons were given, no notes were left behind, and nobody knows why the gym left. Now, I really have nothing to base this on, but I have a hunch that maybe the 2 gyms might have been related, but I don't know. That's baseless speculation. The former Gold's Gym space would sit vacant for a couple of years, but by May 18th, 2014, a TJ Maxx had opened in its stead. A few years later, the movie theater owned by Fox Theaters would be remodeled, gaining stadium seating and updated amenities. But shortly after the remodel, AMC reacquired the theater in January of 2017, rebranding back to the Academy Stadium Theater. I couldn't find any information as to when this Fun for All LOL station thing came to the mall. But what I do know is that the hallway seriously gives me liminal space vibes. And if you haven't checked out ExLog 75 yet, which was the Crystal City Underground, make sure you check that out. Because if you don't know what a liminal space is, you will after you watch that video. So make sure to check out ExLog 75. Over the years, Quantum Companies would release statements occasionally about proposed redevelopments for the mall. One of them even included cutting a massive hole right through the mall to make it semi-open air in the middle, with more traffic flow for cars to go through. Others showcased expansive bridges being built over the streets so the mall could expand into adjacent lots. So far, none of these plans have come to fruition, and the only change I noticed at the mall, the LOL station, which we just saw. But Quantum's most recent scheme has gotten the most traction. So it looks like they locked the door with this so you can't get in. But I don't get it. Oh, Fritz, you've gotten so old.
It's been so long.
You've gotten so old.
It's been so long.
It's been like 50 years at least. In December of 2018, they submitted plans to the Prince George's County Planning Commission, which showed that the mall would be torn down completely to create a more modern mixed-use development featuring a smaller shopping center, retail shops, office space, and townhomes. At an incredibly tense Greenbelt City Council work session on February 5th, 2019, Councilmember Edward V.J. Putenz had some harsh truths to share with Quantum in relation to past sessions they've had discussing similar proposals. The council member had this to say, quote, "My skepticism is based upon the past lack of trust. I am happy you're doing it. I even told you, get it done. 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I want everyone here to know, some of us are skeptical." Close quote. While it seemed the plans may have gone through, about a year later, 2020 pulled its greasy, stupid face out of the trash can and ruined everyone's lives for the time being. Along with it came a sidekick named COVID-19 to make sure we were all extra miserable, getting friends and family sick, forcing everything to close, and killing any positive momentum we had going. As of now, November 2020, the plans to redevelop the Beltway Plaza Mall have stalled, along with pretty much every other thing we had going on. And right now, we're not too sure what's going to happen with a lot of these places. Gray ghosts will fall harder and faster, and small businesses are struggling to survive. We wait in anticipation for the world to go back to normal and for 2020 to get shoved back into whatever rat hole it came out of. But in the meantime, we remain in stasis. I really don't mean to annoy all of you by going in and out of the mall so many times, but the Beltway Plaza Mall is just such a weird layout. The concourse leading down to the Giant is fairly normal in terms of typical mall concourses. But the West End is something I've really never experienced at another mall before. Each of the entrances have such unique characteristics, and you're greeted by different views depending on where you come in. The 3-level anchor space has changed so much over the years, from a standalone anchor now to this confused amalgamation of retail. And I can understand if some of you might still be confused with a few of the things that I said. By the way, do you see their logo that looks like 4 clovers? The reason for that logo is because that's what the exits on the Beltway look like. In many cases, there's 4 roundabouts or exits on the Beltway, which look exactly like that. But I also wanted an excuse to take you down here into the basement portion to see what it looks like. And trust me when I say this basement area stinks.
Oh my god, it stinks down here so bad. Oh my god, it stinks.
The smell down here is a crude mixture of mold, garbage, and trash juice. But it's not like BeltwayPlazaMall.com is going to list this as a feature, so if you're planning to visit, bring 2 masks. And do you see that bracelet that I'm wearing? That blue bracelet is what we wore for this year's virtual Dead Malls of Discord Summit, and they're super rad. I might put a few of these on sale, so stay tuned to my social media, especially if you want to pick one of those up. I'm also going to have keychains available too, so stay tuned. I'd like to thank all of you for watching my video. If you've made it this far, it's pretty clear that you're into this kind of stuff, and you're into the ExLog.
You bought the jacket.
In the pants.
And the pants. Oh my god.
So I'll kindly ask that all of you just do me a massive favor and hit both the subscribe and the bell icons to get all notifications. And if any of you out there are feeling extra benevolent, maybe drop a like on the video. It'll make my day. The content I make is free for everybody, but only a small portion of my viewers are actually subscribers. Which means the people that are watching it, they're not subscribing. Maybe they don't like me too much. So I would appreciate it if you guys would consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. I want to especially thank my patrons, super chatters, channel members, and elite explorers that help to directly support my efforts. You guys are the gasoline to my bonfire, and you all rock. I also want to give a quick shout out to DMod and our ever-growing family on Discord. You guys can join the DMod server by just downloading Discord for free on whatever device you like, or your computer, or whatever. Then you click the link in my description. We have a great time on the DMod server, and we're even getting to the point where we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, we have achieved peak nerd levels. So make sure to come on by and to check in with the mod to get your role, so you can join the voice chat and chat with me and other creators and members of the DMod family. I'll be back with ExLog 77 fairly soon, and I do plan on getting out there to film a few more locations before 2020 decides to pull any more stupidity on us. So please stay tuned to my social media at Salvatore Amadeo on Twitter and Instagram for updates. In the meantime, stay safe out there, everyone. Take care of yourselves and have a fantastic day. Hey, you guys still with me? For those of you that made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me in my content this long. For those of you that are new to the channel and that are still with me at this point, do me a favor and just subscribe. You may as well. For sticking around this long, I'd like to show you the only surviving footage that I have that I took inside the Beltway Plaza Mall back in 2010. My dad came to see me and took me grocery shopping. And one of his knees was completely jacked up.
That leg's still bum? I thought it was the other leg.
Because he kept laughing at it, so I kept laughing at it. He's never driven one of these things in his life, and he was just crashing into everything, and we both thought it was hilarious.
Can I drive?
Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe out there.
Oh, it's like a mall. Holy shit.
And I'll see you soon for ExLog 77.